Welcome, folks. I am Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
What's up?
We just got back from watching Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and we're excited to give you our honest thoughts and feelings on the movie.
But don't worry, we're not going to give away any spoilers at all.
No plot details. The only things we'll talk about that is detailed is stuff you already know from the trailers or from like IMDb or stuff like that. It's going to be very generic information just to let you guys know how we feel about the film.
Yeah, so that you can go in fresh and just kind of experience it for yourself.
Exactly. I want to start out with saying that, you know, for a film that's called Doctor Strange, I was actually blown away by some of the sequences in the film. I mean, you see it in the trailer, you get hints at it, but to see it in its full glory on the big silver screen, it's just marvelous. Like, some of the visual effects is pretty stellar. Some of the visual effects is so-so, but most of it, you know, all makes for just spectacular sequences on the big screen.
Yeah, and for me, what I really enjoyed was just the really trademark Sam Raimi horror stuff.
Right.
Because this was the first time I watched a Marvel project and was like, oh wow, it feels really scary. It feels like Marvel gone horror.
Yeah, in some ways, this is the most different Marvel film to date. This is the first Marvel film in a long time that really genuinely feels like it has its own unique vision from all its predecessors. In many ways, that makes it one of the coolest Marvel films. In other ways, it's like, huh? It's a little bit head-scratching sometimes, some of the choices that were made, but I sort of just accept it as a whole, kind of like a girlfriend who's got some quirks, but she's pretty awesome. She gives good back rubs, good kisser.
Interesting.
But she makes a weird like snorty sound every time she eats her food. Like there's just some strange things about her. Strange things about her, but you sort of just take it as a whole. You know what I'm saying? There's some quirky stuff in the movie that's a little bit goofy, but I think that overall I enjoyed the vibe of the movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed what it was going for, and those horror elements that you're talking about, I was like, whoa, it really caught me off guard. And so for those of you who have kids, be mindful of the fact that this is really pushing that PG-13 level in ways that you're probably not expecting. So from the ads, you know that America Chavez is in this film. She's an important part of the story, as the trailers might indicate to you, right? For as important as she was to the story, for me, I never quite connected with her character by the end of the film. It was one of those things where I really wanted to connect with her, because she's integral to the whole thing, but I never really felt like, oh, I love America Chavez the way I love Doctor Strange or Spider-Man or any other superhero that, you know, we've watched in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far.
But hopefully, given time, you know, this is her introduction, and it is Doctor Strange's movie, I guess. So we are going to focus more on Doctor Strange. But another character that I really enjoyed actually was Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch.
Right.
I thought that Elizabeth Olsen did a fantastic job. Like, I was really feeling her pain and her rage.
All the things you're supposed to feel from Wanda Maximoff. I definitely bought into everything she was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the coolest things about watching SpiderMan No Way Home, especially if you weren't spoiled by anything from YouTube like I was, is that there are surprises that happen in SpiderMan No Way Home where you're like, you just lost your shit.
Yeah.
They did a pretty good job of saving some stuff for this movie that hasn't been spoiled by YouTube yet, and so I'm really excited for you guys to watch it. I'm not gonna say anything, of course. We were at a press screening and there were people losing their mind.
I was losing my damn mind.
I mean, obviously I was too, and I was clapping and whatnot at certain moments in the movie because it was just like, oh my God, it's a press screening, and so people are more, highfalutin and professional. But even those folks were excited at what they were seeing in this movie.
And there's definitely some great shocking moments as well. I think I screamed out loud at least twice, and there were some parts where I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah. I think one of my biggest gripes with the movie has nothing to do with the movie at all. It's the trailers. The trailers gave away so much.
Yeah.
And I even refrained from looking at too many trailers, and I still felt like I saw way too much of this movie before I got there. That was a big frustration of mine.
I was able to recite lines. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess another gripe would be, I'm going to say this indirectly. There's a movie called Split by M. Night Shyamalan, and in the trailers to the film, they advertise that character as having 26 personalities, but when you watch the movie, he's got like 8. And for me, being told I was going to see 26 personalities, I was really disappointed at not seeing the other 16 personalities that I was supposed to see. Or the math is wrong, but you know what I'm saying. I only saw 8 out of 26. And so this film is called Multiverse of Madness. You know what I'm saying?
To be fair, though, you do see a lot of different multiverses.
Sure, you saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really expand on what you're saying there, but you know,
can't deny that.
I just wish that more was done in that area, is what I'm trying to say. Because while the film explores some really cool ideas and does some spectacular stuff we haven't seen in Marvel films before, it's like that aspect. It's called Multiverse of Madness, and I just was like, it was Multiverse of satisfied, I suppose. Multiverse of copacetic. It wasn't madness. It was multiverse of level-headedness. For me, it's madness. That's not madness.
Yeah, it's multiverse of horror.
Yes, yeah, sure. All that being said, don't get me wrong. There is like really, truly breathtaking, fantastic sequences in this film, fantastic battles in this movie where I was like, I did not know that was gonna happen in this film.
Yeah.
It's like, all the way to the very end of the movie, you're like, stuff is surprising you and shocking you along the way. And so that is one thing I appreciate about what Sam Raimi did here is, it's a tight 2 hours and 6 minutes. I could feel at certain moments that an hour of this movie had been cut out.
Yes.
There were other instances where I was like, I feel like this is dragging on. And it's weird. It's weird to simultaneously feel like a lot was cut out and stuff is dragging. That's a strange feeling to have while watching this film, because it's 2 hours and 6 minutes. I would be very curious to see the 3 hour version of this movie, just to see like what was lopped out, but I'm sure that'll never see the light of day. But it being Sam Raimi, it's like, there is just a kookiness to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to know going into this movie, is that there's a kooky vibe to it that is unlike its predecessors.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit campy.
Yeah.
And I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I actually really, really enjoy that. Like,
Yeah.
it feels really different. It's refreshing. It's funny. It's scary. It's shocking. Like, it's just so different from what we've had before from Marvel.
Even musically, it's quite different.
Oh, yeah.
Musically,
Danny Elfman.
The score that Danny Elfman created here is very, very different. It's very unique from other Marvel properties. I don't know that any of the musical motifs in the film stuck out to me as something like I could hum to you. Kind of like when you hear the Wakanda song, it's like, that's
Yeah.
Black Panther. The Avengers theme song,
Yeah.
like those theme songs intimately. Whereas here, it's like those are definitely strange sounds, but I don't know that I could like hum it back to you right now.
Yeah, I mean, they used music really, really well, very, very creatively in this movie. I was just like, oh, wow,
It's fun.
That's interesting. It's fun. It's fun,
yeah.
It's weird. I like it.
I think at the end of the film, for me, and I'm not gonna talk about the end of the film, I'm just saying what my feeling was. At the end of the film, for me, I realized that I think I still prefer the first Doctor Strange to this one. Like the journey I went on with Stephen Strange through the first Doctor Strange film, it was a lot more satisfying for me than what I went through here. The first Doctor Strange, I think, had more unexpected twists and turns for me, and it was going places that was just like, whoa, where's this movie headed next? And this film kind of did that, but I think because I saw so much in the trailer, I wasn't as surprised as I wanted to be. After it was all said and done, I'm like, all right, that was fun. I'd watch that again. Like, I'd go back. I'm gonna go back and watch the film again. I'm gonna keep my tickets that I bought. I think that there's so much to get out of this film just on a visceral level. One of the things that it's having to deal with is the fact that it's part of the interconnected Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? And that can't be helped, I guess, when you're dealing with a film that's from that. It's just that when I watched Doctor Strange, the first one, I didn't feel like it was encumbered with any of that burden, whereas this one does have that.
Yeah, this one, like, if you have not watched Doctor Strange Part 1, if you have not watched WandaVision, at the very least,
it hinges on all that stuff.
You're gonna really struggle.
Yeah, what I'm also getting at is not just where it's borrowing from, but also where it's headed.
Yeah.
It's like it's all about this interconnected universe, and so it doesn't really stand on its own, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas the first Doctor Strange, I feel like, as in my recollection, it did kind of stand on its own.
I think so.
Where it's like it's really its own story, and I really appreciate it for that.
But I also think that at the time that the first Doctor Strange came out, it was just so different, and we didn't really know what to expect, and so it like really set the tone. It was just like, boom, here I am, and we've already seen that movie. Obviously, we love it. We love the character, and we've really come to know him. Now with this, we're like, okay, well, we've already seen a lot of him.
Yeah.
Where are you going to take this?
Yeah.
And I did think overall, like, while I agree with you that Doctor Strange 1 I enjoyed more, I still had a really fun time with this movie.
Sure.
Like, it's a really fun adventure. It's a fun romp. A lot of the feelings of suspense and just like sheer nervousness was something that I hadn't really experienced as much in other Marvel properties.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worthwhile. It's worth watching again, and I'm going to watch it 2 more times at least. So
at least in a premium format too.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.